What is up today, guys? You know, it's been a little over a month since I made my T-Rex. Now we're gonna animate it. And normally I would make it and animate it, get right into it and all that, but my hand was killing me after I did that. So, I let it rest a little bit. I did some other like non-super clicky kind of art projects, and now I'm ready to get back into it. So let's do it. I'm gonna animate just like a simple step roar, and just show you guys some behind the scenes of how I go about doing it. Let's do it. So to start off, my setup. I've got my laptop, I got my Wacom tablet on an easel just as a secondary screen so I can just go whoa, whoa. And as you can see, we've already got my T-Rex loaded up. So yeah, this is pretty much my setup. And that's, I think, all you guys needed to know, or even more than you needed to know. Alrighty, so now that we have kind of just established where we're at in the process of doing this, we've got our rig. Next thing we're gonna do is record our reference. It's important to get into character when you're, recording your reference. That's why I'm wearing a super green shirt, even though it's November 1st when I'm recording this, but only green I got. Let's do it. Alrighty, reference is recorded. We took a few different takes of it. Now, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. Alrighty, reference is recorded right here. Let's just drag it onto the desktop. Boom. Alrighty, so now that we have our reference recorded, all professional like, now we need to choose which of our recordings we're gonna use as our reference. I'm not fancy, I go into iMovie. Delete the last project, because that was already out, but that was painting with pencils. Check it out. Anyway, delete that, and then we'll come over here. I'll drag in the 2 video reference clips I did, and I'll just look at them. I don't think any of them from this first one I liked. See, that one's not bad. So what I'm gonna do is just click Command B, delete the first half of, whoa, goodness. Delete that first part, we'll watch it back, and that's about where I would end it. Okay, so this 5.5 seconds, that's a good one. And then I'm just goofing off the rest of that. Now that I've got my 3 options, what I'm gonna do is just watch them back and pick one. Okay, I can definitely get rid of that middle one. I'm gonna choose the last one, 5.5 seconds, and it's also important to remember that just because you like one thing in a reference, but you overall like your other reference, doesn't mean you can't mash them together. It's a reference, you don't have to follow it pose per pose or anything like that. It's actually encouraged that you don't do that, so that you get more cartoony style. I guess if you're looking for cartoony, I like cartoons. So, I'm looking for more of a cartoony style, so no, I'm not a dinosaur. I don't have a tail. I'm going to be making a lot of this up. It's a good start to find out where the weight kind of is, in a sense. And I will say, acting out as a dinosaur, it's kind of difficult because I don't have all the weight of the tail, so like leaning forward isn't as easy, so that's something I'm going to have to adjust when actually animating. Alrighty, so now that we have this, I'm just going to, export it out. And I know you can do this all in After Effects. I don't know After Effects that well, and I'm decently fast at iMovie, which is not saying much because it's pretty easy to use. T-Rex ref not 24 frames a second. We're going to save that out. Now we're going to change the frame rate because I just record on my iPhone. I don't have anything fancy. I can't choose the setting that I record in, and if I can on an iPhone, I don't know how. But anyway, I just record on my iPhone, so what we need to do is change this to 24 frames a second, because it's not. And what I like to do is I go into After Effects, and then I'll do this. I'll go New Composition, Frame Rate 24, I'm going to do File, import file, desktop, that's where I put it, and then T-Rex ref, not 24. Open it. Okay, it'll just create a whole new composition anyway. That's fine. Okay, so we can see that our reference is filmed in 29.97 frames per second. That's not 24. So what we need to do is go into our composition here, select it, composition settings, and we will change 29.97 to 24. Boom. We can see down here it's playing in 24 frames a second. However, we're not changing the frame rate of the reference, because then, you know, it has 29.97 frames in 1 second of its time, but if we stretch that out to 24, it's going to be slow. So we got this. It's going boom, boom, raw. And then we've got this extra little black space area. Let's just shrink that up. Boom. Now we're ready. File, export, add to render queue. Okay, go down here to output mode. QuickTime is fine. Okay. Output 2. We'll just put on the desktop again. And then we'll just simply take out the words not. Save, render. It's pretty short, so it will be fast. There it is. Exit out of that. I don't need it. Alright, now let's open it up. What I'm going to do is take my little reference here, and you might be able to see it here. Scooch it over. Oh, you can, look. Now it's on this screen. So now I'll keep it on a second screen just so I can always have an eye on it. Now that we've got our character, we've got our reference, and we've got water, we've gone to the bathroom, we're good. Let's hop into Maya. Alrighty, so here we are in Maya. Now this is just the file with my dinosaur. Like, this is the dinosaur file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to file save scene as, and we'll just call it T2 roar. Now, in case I butcher this file, I mess it up somehow, I've always got the actual rig file separate from this roaring file. Okay, so anyway, what we're going to do is this. Let's show the grid just for poops and giggles. So pretty much my vision for this is I just want to have him step out of the darkness, he's in the light, and he's going to roar. So that's what we're going to do. So we need to have a plane for him to step on. So just create a plane. And there it is. He has a plane. The plane. Alrighty. It looks really good in like a demo reel stuff if you have a background. Like, the way I'm planning this, I don't think I'm going to need a background, but just in case. So what I like to do is come over to the plane, come here, polyplane, and reduce the subdivisions. Reduce the subdivisions down to 1. Then I can grab it, bring it out this way, bring it out this way a little bit, give him a nice long platform to stand on, and then what I'll do is I will grab the edge here, Control E to extrude it. Oh my goodness, grab the move tool, bring it up, bring it out. Now we have this like obtuse angle going on. Still in edge mode, we can grab that one, come up here, edit mesh, bevel it, and then increase the segments, and now it's just a nice rounded backdrop. And now since that's coming up against his like walking area, I'm just going to go back into object mode, scale tool, and drag it out some. And there we go. That is that. Okay, now with the saving and the backdrop, I'm going to just panels, new. We now have a new camera. Look at that. And I'm just gonna kind of position this. Okay, so in terms of a demo reel and having this nice backdrop being a flat line, nice and smooth and everything, you want to avoid using rotate Y when positioning your camera, because if you do that, like if we just type in 10 or whatever, like you get this, I don't know, it doesn't look as good, you know what I mean? So that's just a little tip I've been told along the way by people that are in better positions in the industry than I am, because I'm not even in the industry. Anyway, that's a good general placement for the camera. Let's go back to our perspective. I'm going to call that camera we just made a shot. So there's one thing that we've got to do before we start animating. It's not a major necessity, but by golly, it helps to have it. And that is creating our little quick select keys. Now, for some reason I dread this process. It only takes like 15 minutes on like a human character. I don't know how long it's going to take on a dinosaur. Only about 15 minutes typically though. But for some reason, I just dread doing it. But we're going to do it anyway. So let me just show you how to do a few of them, and then we'll speed through the rest of it. Alright, so like, I always start out with the cog. The point of a quick select key is so that you're not trying to find your way throughout all of these controls the whole time you're animating. There will be just little buttons up here, and you can click it, and it's going to say spine, and you click it, and you got the whole spine. So, let me show you how to make those real quick. And also, as a little tip, whenever I've created like a new shelf or whatever, I can go through the entire process of saving a shelf, and exporting a shelf, and doing all this with a shelf, and all that with a shelf. It never saves. It never saves my buttons. The only way I've found that I can save my buttons is to be in the animation tab and make my buttons there. I have no clue how else to do it, but that works for me, and my buttons are saved. So, let's do it. So I'll start off with the cog here. Select the cog, go create, sets, quick select set. I will name it cog. Add to shelf. You don't want to hit enter, you don't want to hit OK, because I don't know where it goes from there. But now we have a button that says cog. Now if ever I want to move the cog, instead of coming down here and clicking it, I can just click it there and then start moving the cog. Oh frickin' yeah. And it'll pretty much be that way with everything. So next I will do the spine. Come up here, grab the spine. Go create, set, quick select set, spine. See, I almost did it. I almost hit enter. I want to hit add to shelf. Now we can just click the spine and go. There's no more of that like, oh, let me select all of these, then I can do it. Nope. You just click the spine and you go. So I'm gonna break and get the rest of my buttons built, and then we'll be back. Alrighty guys, so here we are for day 2. Day 1 got cut short and I didn't get to end it properly. But here we are day 2, and you'll notice right away I'm in a robe because it's important to keep your body all nice and cozy. That way your brain can do the work. That's my motto anyway. I like a nice cool air and a nice cozy body so that I can focus all my attention and power pretty much on this. So that's where we're at on that. But anyway, with the buttons, the quick select buttons, you'll see that I've got like cog, spine, head, neck. Some of my main ones are up front, and then I've, got hips, tail, the arms, the hands, and then you can see I go back into like knee 1, knee 2, because the way I've rigged my dinosaur is he's got like a back knee kind of bend and a front knee bend. But you'll also see that I have trans button, so like I can move my character's main translates. It's obviously not grabbing the elbows or knees, but I can grab those and move the character without even grabbing the master control, because you're not allowed to do that. I've also got one for the upper translates, so I can like move everything cog and up. And then I've got an all button, so I'm moving literally everything. Now, I never will move him with the all for what you just saw for that reason, because it pulls everything. So if I'm ever going to just move my character, I'll use the translates move and move him like that. I'll go back and I'll just readjust the elbows and knees. The reason I have the all button is for keying things. So when we're building our main poses here in just a little bit, I can hit the all button and key everything. Now let's get into what we're doing tonight. It's 8 p.m. I work at 5 a.m. so like I probably won't get all too much done before I go to bed. However, what we're going to do is, using our reference, we're going to try to build key poses. At least as many as we can do tonight. So that's kind of what we're going to do. So I can look at my reference here, and I can see that on the starting frame, my center of gravity is kind of lowered, so I can just grab the center of gravity and lower him down a little bit. So I've got my cog, and I'm just going to, rotate him so he's not fully straightened up, all that. So we can look at our reference here, and we can see that the hips are just ever so slightly moved to, well, in this case, the left. Now we can grab the spine, rotate that up a little bit, and then we can come in here and grab the single spine right here and just move it some. Now the head and neck are looking down, so we'll grab our neck right here, move that, we'll grab our head, bring that around like something like that. I'm just kind of guessing, I've never really worked with the dinosaur, so I mean we'll figure it out as we go, right? Come in here, we'll grab our hand, we'll grab our left elbow, it's up here somewhere, left elbow. We'll grab our hand control, we'll just do something with that. And I don't know how many other people like to work. I save all the fingers and stuff like that, and when there's a mouth and a face and stuff, I save all of that for the end. It's just easier. I know that my body's already where I want it to be. I can just do a quick pass through, maybe a second pass through if it needs it. But yeah, it's never a necessity for me to begin with anyway. So we've got the hands. They're in some cool little positions, and they'll do for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and hide our background. It's distracting me a tiny bit. You know, I'm feeling like I want to add just a bit more rotation to the spine, so we're gonna grab those three, rotate it a bit, rotate the head slightly. I do want to close the jaw right now, just because he's not in a roaring kind of mode. What does a closed jaw look like for him? Something like that, maybe? Alrighty, now onto the feet. You can see that this guy is pulled out a little bit, rotated out. This guy is pulled forward. Now you can do what I'm about to do on your very first pose. When you are still setting up the pose, you're going to grab the master control and just kind of rotate them. You can only do that on the very first one before you have any other frames in. Because if you do it when you've already got a frame, you are then animating the master control. That's a don't do. That's a no-go. Don't do that. It's coming along. We are getting somewhat of a decent first pose. We'll grab this front knee, bring that around. This is what I meant by front knee and back knee. We have the back knee right here and the front knee up here. Again, that's just because that's how I rigged him. Now if we pay real close attention, we can see that my foot is not flat on the ground in my reference, which means maybe we should consider doing that with this one. So we'll grab our bank and just lift it up ever so slightly, so that when our ground is in there, there's a little bit of gap in there. Alrighty, we can check out this foot and we can see that it's a little bit on its toes, but we're gonna bring it back some more, rotate it some more, grab this knee, bring it around. This is something that I like about using my own rigs. I get to see what the flaws are and fix it, and also learn from it. Be like, oh, when I make my next rig and it happens to have two knees or something like this, maybe I can learn how to do it better. I don't know. Alright, so let's see where we're getting. This actually isn't looking all too bad, if I'm being honest. Let's go ahead and rotate the back just a hair bit more. But then we're going to rotate the head down. The neck moves down a little bit. And that is not looking like a terrible first pose. He is balanced. We can see that the head and back balance out with the tail when we're looking this way. Balances out that way. And we are good. Now we got a pretty good first pose. It's not perfect. We'll go back through and we'll edit it here and there, but as a starting point, that's not terrible. So, grab my all, and then just hit S, and now we're good to go. That is our first key. It is there, it's set, and that's how it's going to be. Now, I like to work with this on. You can choose to not, but I prefer it. It is this little button down here. I like to work with it on. It's auto key. So when you make a change on another frame or something, it automatically keys it. Pros: if you do some work here on frame 10, but forget to hit S to set your key, you know what? It's got your back. It's got you. You're all good. Con, if you forget to change your key that you're working on, like if I just made that pose on 1 and then I'm like, oh awesome, let's make the next pose. If I forget to move it to another frame, well then my frame 1 is gone. It has the positive of saving your work on another frame, but it has the con of replacing your work if you forget to change a frame. Keep that in mind. But anyway, yeah, now that I've walked you through how to do this first one, I'm just going to put this kind of in like a time-lapse kind of thing where we're going to hit all the other main keys. So let's do it. Might be a new day by the time you see me next, so I don't know. We'll find out. Alrighty, so we've worked on it for just under an hour. We've got a few key poses in. How many do we have? We've got 6 poses, and as you know, if you know anything about 3D animation, that is not much for a walk and roar of a dinosaur. But we've got 6 poses here. Boom, 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 boom. Was that more than 6? I don't know. Anyway, it's not terrible for an hour's worth of work. I'm gonna go to bed now, but you know, it's pretty alright. I'm content with the work that has been made tonight. Alrighty guys, so now we're back for another day and we're rocking the cape of the blankets. That's what we're doing. And anyway, let's go ahead and get into the next step. Now we're gonna start doing some more breakdown-y kind of poses. We put in very, very basic poses. So now we're gonna like put in some in-between stuff, like how do we get from here to here? Well, probably gonna come up here somewhere. So you know what I mean, right? So I did do a little bit of work on this. One thing that you'll notice I did is I put it in step, because I originally had it in auto, which makes things all flow together, and you don't get the best sense of posing and timing because your pose is only there for 1/24th of a second. So now when we play it, he's like all, you know, robotic, skippy, in a sense. Now how did I do that? Well, I clicked my all button that selects all of my controls, and you'll see that down here in my graph editor I have it just pinned right here. But if you want the graph editor, you go up to Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. So I've got the graph editor here, and when nothing is selected, nothing's down here. But I have my all button, it has all of my controls, and boom, now I can see all of my controls that all have keys in certain places. So I had it in auto, which means I had it looking like this, very wavy. Because if you follow along with me, this is probably where you're at. What you do is you highlight all this, then you select this little button. It looks like a little step. Boom, now everything is in step. Now we also have to change what will be set, because if you keep working, it's going to keep putting it in auto. However, what you already have is going to remain in step, and then it's going to be a weird combination of flowy and then skip, flowy and skip. To stop that, we're going to go down here in the bottom right to this little dude, click it, go to settings, animation, and then here we'll see it says default in tangent auto, default out tangent auto. Now, all you gotta do is change your out, just stepped. Now everything you make from this point on until you change it again is going to be in stepped. That way we get our nice little like skippy motion looking like that. And we get a better sense of timing and stuff like that. Now you've noticed probably that One thing I've done is go through here with his left leg and put in a step breakdown of, you know, him taking his step, right? So it kind of feels more like he's actually walking rather than his right leg just goes from there to there. So we can see the arc, and we can see where it comes down, boom, boom, really plants that foot. So that's what I've worked on so far, and I'll go through the other leg with you right now, just to kind of help you understand a walk. So let's go ahead and do that, because I am pretty happy with how that leg is looking right now. Granted, all of this is probably going to change. Well, maybe not all of it, but like 80% of this is going to change later on when we have a bit more breakdowns in here, and we're going to change things. We're going to delete keys. Right now, we're just trying to get some stuff on here. So let's go and do it. It's always important to stay hydrated as well. With the step, you have your contact, your down, passing, up, and contact. That's the breakdown of the step. Really good recommendation here for you is the Animator Survival Kit. Really friggin' awesome. It's got a lot of, like, well, it says right here, a manual of methods, principles, and formulas. So it has a really great breakdown of a walk cycle. Contact, down, pass, up, and contact. But it's also got like so many run cycles and friggin' jumps, face animations, anticipations, arms, stuff. Literally everything you're gonna need for animation. All right here. Really great tool. I highly recommend it. But anyway, let's walk through a walk cycle. Alrighty, so we see right here that, well, he's in a contact. Now with a contact, the heel's on the ground, right? Yep. And this one, it's a little bit on the ball, right? So we've got the ball raised a little bit because without any of this, it would look like that. Let's undo that. Okay, so we've got that. Well, he doesn't need any bank. I don't know why that's there. Okay, but boom, we got that. He's in contact. Now, we go forward a little bit, we'll see that now he's in a down, right? This foot is on the ground, zero stuff in the RFL. And then this one, he's got ball and a little bit of toe. Now the next one is a passing pose. Alright, so he's in one contact on 46, he's in another contact on 72, so he's got this whole big time frame of time to take his step. So we have his down pose here on 52, and this is going to be our passing pose, right? So in a passing pose, the hips, the cog, I should say, the cog is going to come up, and it's going to come forward, right? Now, the passing pose is called passing because this leg is just going to be passing this one. They're going to be pretty lined up, not exactly, but, you know, pretty close to each other anyway. We can angle that. Now, it's important that with a passing, we bring his center of gravity over his other leg because he's like shifting his weight, you know? So we're going to bring this leg out a little bit to account for that. And like I said, we're not trying to get like our final position for all of these controls and geometry. We're just trying to get a basic idea. Okay, so we've got our hips, right? And they need to be more or less like this. Right now they're like this. See the yellow line right here? We need to turn that so it's looking like this because he's going to be stretching his right hip joint area forward so that he can move his leg forward, right? See, I don't want this leg to get too far in front. Matter of fact, I want to hold it back a little bit. There we go. See, it kind of feels like he's pushing off. See that? Oh yeah. Get it, dinosaur. Kind of feel the push right there. Boom. You see, like, kind of hard to find where my knee joint is in all this blue, but I still want to keep this view on it. That's why it's important to have quick select keys. Alright, now let's give it a look-see. Boom. He's just lifting off. That foot is going to pass. And we can see that his weight shift is going a bit more to our right, his left, to account for, you know, this being his one position, his one, you know, connection to the ground, pretty much. Because it's important to remain within balance. That is a pretty good passing. It's not perfect, and again, I'm only focused on all of this. I'm not even paying attention to his torso or his tail or anything right now. When I do my second pass through and put in more stuff, like we're doing right now, I will typically focus on the legs and get my character where they're going, and then I can worry about things that aren't connected to the ground, like arms and the head and stuff like that. So now that we've got our passing pose, we need to do an up pose. Let's put our up pose here on 66. Right now, I'm just kind of guessing. I'm not really following a set beat, pretty much, because I want some weight. I want some hang time, and you know, maybe I'll change my wants. But right now, I'm just kind of going with it. So we're gonna go to frame 66, and in an up pose, everything is up. So the cog is gonna go up. Let's make sure we're not like breaking that leg or anything. He's gonna go forward as well, which means this one's gonna come forward. Okay, so we can already see how forward and up he's going. And the cog is going to not be really like, he's not gonna be within balance for this pose because the pose isn't gonna last very long. So then we'll bring this leg forward, and we will also bring this forward. Alrighty, so that's not a bad up pose. Up pose is pretty easy. You just push everything forward and up. We're going to go to the contact. I'm going to lift his heel up. And then just like a good rule of thumb, you can always change it later on, is that 2 frames later, the foot will be flat on the ground. And now we've got a pretty good start for our dinosaur's walk. Now pretty much I'm going to do the same thing for everything. Add in secondary poses, probably adding like 2 or 3 poses in between each pose. That way we've got a better foundation and we can better see how things are moving. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Let's get into time lapse. Alrighty, so now we're at a point where, you know, it's super late and I gotta go do dishes before bed, and so we're just kinda gonna look at what I got done today, and then we'll hit hard tomorrow. Let's do it. Close out of that and just look at our play blast. I want to have the structure of like block out secondaries and then go for it. Power through, right? I want to do that, however, when I see something, I just do it. Like, I think that's a good strategy, you know, just block out secondaries, power through, but most of the time I'll do a block out and then I'll just kind of combine secondaries and power through, and like some of it is getting more refined and some of it's getting more refined, some of it's getting less refined. That's not exactly the best way to do it, but like, it is what it is, right? So let's go ahead and look at what I've done so far. We'll talk about it and try to make some notes of what I'm gonna fix tomorrow. So let's do it. So you can see I did a little bit more at the feet, I did a little bit with the tail, got in a little bit of spine action. So I'm going to start off with just mentioning things about the feet. First thing I'm noticing is that the red foot, still I haven't added enough like weight of it coming down. It feels very even in terms of its motion, like you can see when it comes down. It's very slow. So that's one thing I want to note. The blue foot, let's see if it has anything. I feel like the blue foot's better than the red foot because when it comes down, kind of it looks like it has a bit of force there, whereas the red one just kind of floated down. So I can fix that up tomorrow. Now this whole last part here where he's like in a moving hold overall, I'm not concerned about that just yet. I want to get down the main action poses. Now this is my first time animating a tail, and I feel like for the most part it's pretty good at so far. However, like right up in here probably is where I start to not really like what I've done with it, because it's still trying to figure out the functionality, the like physics behind swinging the tail. I assume it's like a pendulum swing. However, like you would think it's pretty simple, and it probably is. I'm just probably overthinking it. I'm a little tired too. I got a little bit of a headache. So let's go for it. Yeah, I'm really liking the tail up to this point, and then maybe I just need to like speed it up and then have it come around and slow down or something, because we get to a point where it's just kind of hanging out. So maybe I need to bring it back to more of a neutral state right here. That's something that I need to try tomorrow, see if that works. But other than that, I'm liking the tail. I think it's funny how you see these little hand boxes float around the whole time, because I haven't done jack with them yet. Part of his spine, this one right here, it almost feels like that becomes detached from the hips when it slides over that much. And like I know it's not, connected, because that's how I modeled him, but it feels not connected. So that's something I need to see if I can't change. Also, the back is a little stiff right in here, not really moving that much. I need to have him turn a bit more the other way, and then as his body comes stage left, then his spine can bend stage right. And I think right here I need to drop the cog, because he's coming down instead of just, you can see that like the cog just kind of slides over and then it lowers, whereas I need to just kind of have it do a bit of like this where it's coming down, because then that will let the spine kind of bend up and follow through. That'll just let the spine kind of bend up as it's following the cog go down, and then the spine can kind of compress for this anticipation and come up for the big roar. So I think those are some notes that I'm going to work on for tomorrow, and I'm really hoping to have this done tomorrow, so that's the big hope on that. I'm tired. I'm going to go do dishes and go to bed. Alrighty, so here we are the next day. I'm fresh out of the shower. We're ready to roll. Let's friggin' do it. So, alrighty. So with some fresh eyes, we're going to look at what we did yesterday, reevaluate, and see what we need to fix. Pretty sure it's going to be the same things that we said we needed to fix, but we're going to double check. And I'm not really going to go back and fix anything just yet. I'm going to at least get everything to have a second pass through, like finally place the hands, do a little something with the head here and there and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do. Let's do it. Maybe my hair will be dry by the time we come back. I don't know. Alrighty, so here's where we're at. We've made some progress, and it automatically feels more alive than it was, right? So, that's good. However, there's still some areas where he's a bit jumpy, like you can see here in his legs when he takes that first step. Yeah, you saw it get a little jumpy there in the knees. Okay, so let's just run through this. I've got a little sticky notepad here, got a pencil. My hair has no product in it, it's just dry. And we're just gonna run through this. We'll make some notes of things we want to change. We'll break for a few minutes, probably go do some dishes, and come back with fresh eyes. So that's what we'll do. Let's run through this and make some notes. Okay, so first thing that I'm gonna note, since I decreased the amount of frames with his left foot in his first step, I really like it. I feel like it has more of a step kind of thing. I feel like it has more weight to it, but I might decrease it, I'm not sure. So I'll make a note, left foot step weight. Okay, the knees buckle. This is one area where I haven't put in a ton of time. I've more or less just been trying to get some stuff into Maya, because like you always hear the expression, oh, you want to draw, just get something on the page. Well, you want to animate, get something in the system, and then you can change it from there pretty much. You just got to get your ideas down. Then you can look at your animation, see what's working, what's not, and you can go from there. So, but yeah, this area where he's like going up for the roar, I've put in a lot of keys, and at this point it feels like there's a bit too many cooks in the kitchen, if you know what I mean. Like there's too many keys trying to say, hey, let's do this, but hey, let's also do this, you know, and they're kind of contradicting themselves, and it's making it look all jagged and shaky and everything. Only when he comes up for it though. Like I feel like there's just a bit too many keys in here somewhere. Maybe if I can get rid of some keys and just smooth some arcs, that would be ideal. Like I said, I still have to adjust the hands themselves and the elbows. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good about the feet and how they're looking. The only thing is I'm going to add in some toe movement, so I'm going to make a note. Along the same lines as toes, we have fingers we need to adjust. Now I haven't done too much to the head and neck, so I'm going to write those down. We will definitely be going back to the tail, because how it pauses right there during the roar, yeah, we're going to fix that up. And when he's roaring, you know, the jaw opens, but then it just stays in the same spot. Maybe if we like shake it around a little bit, like something like that, like it'll feel like he's actually making a sound. So I think that's a pretty good list for now. We've at least filled up a whole side of a sticky note with some notes on some things we're going to change. So like I said, I'm going to break for a second. We're going to go do some dishes or something. Let our eyes kind of not look at a screen for a little bit, because that's important. Yeah, and then we'll come back and we'll keep working at this. I think when we come back, we are going to work on this, and we're also going to get into some graph editor curve adjustments and smoothing. So that's what's next. Alrighty, so we are back, watching it over, and you know, I'm really liking it, the way it's going along. There's still some things to work out. There's still some curves that need smoothed and a little bit too many cooks in the kitchen, but yeah, I think it's coming along pretty nicely. And like, I know it seems like I'm just sitting here watching this a lot, but that's what it comes down to with animation. It's constantly watching it, making slight tweaks, play blast again, watch it, look for more things that you can improve. That's what it's really about. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into a little bit of graph editor work. I'm gonna go into a time lapse. You're gonna see me fix up some note stuff and do a lot of smoothing with the graph editor. Alrighty guys, we are finally getting to a point where I'm pretty happy with this. It's almost like you work and work and work and you're seeing very small differences, but you're not like, I'm getting there, right? Then all of a sudden, everything just, for some reason, looks really nice. Okay, so we're gonna go and watch the play blast again. See how we're feeling on it. Maybe watch it a few times to see if there's anything that we want to change. I really like the way the arms look. He's like, I love it. I friggin' love it. Friggin' love it. I love how like fluid it's moving. It lines up very much with my T1, so like it's kind of my style on how I animate, and I really like it. I think the extra jaw wiggling was a really nice touch, just because it looks like he's, you know, actually roaring. And overall, I think I'm just really digging it, you know? I'm trying to look at stuff, and maybe it's just because I've looked at it for so long that I'm having a hard time finding something else. But I'm really liking this, and I think we're getting close to a completed project. When animating, I'm like, okay, let's animate. And I'm normally just kind of in the zone, but when you get to the final, oh my goodness, it just feels so nice, right? Come on, hey, boom. Boom. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to try one thing that I've never done. I don't know if it's going to look good, but you're going to find out with me. We're going to do this together. Okay, so it's saved. Okay, so the file is saved, so in case I mess anything up, you know, we got it. But here's what we're going to try. When he steps, I want to see if I can shake the camera some, just to add a little bit of weight, you know, make it seem like he's shaking in the ground. So I want to try that. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. So here's our shot camera. When he goes to step, okay, I've got the key right before he makes contact. Raise the camera, because you would assume that the force, like if you hit a table or something, whatever's on the table, in theory, will go boom, and it'll just raise up a little bit. Raise up a little bit more. And then we can grab the one from here, bring it over to this side. Boom. Oh, maybe that works. Maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm gonna play blast that and see if that works. If that works, I think that's gonna be really cool. I definitely added a lot more of a shake to the second boom. So, I mean, we can see if the light one works or the heavy one works. Okay. Oh, I love that second one. Okay, let's add some more shake to that first one. Let's go into our graph editor, go to our translate Y. Yeah, see? We can actually see the camera going up, right? So since this one's further away, it's not going to have as much impact as the closer one, because this is his second step. So when the object is closer, like his foot hitting the ground to the camera being the object, you would assume that, like, okay, pencil's the camera, my hand is his foot. So when it's further away, boom, it's going to raise up a little, but when it's really close, boom, it's going to raise up a lot. So that's why on this first shot, when he's a little bit further away, it's not as big as a boom, but when he's closer, it's a bigger boom by about 0.2, but we'll see if that makes a big difference or not. Okay, so let's play blast that. If this looks nice, like that second one on the first try looked really friggin' good. So let's give this one a shot. I'm really hoping for some good results. Cheers. Boom. Oh my goodness, that's great. Oh my goodness, that's great. Boom. Boom. Yes. Oh my friggin' goodness. Boom. Boom. Yes. Oh, I'm happy with that. I am so friggin' happy with that. Boom. Boom. Oh, I love it. I mean, let's get into the rendering. I've got a light that I already made, and you can do that. I'm gonna use Arnold as a renderer. So what we're gonna do is render sequence. I don't, like, I get you want image sequences, but why is there not like a render movie button? I don't know. That sure would save some time. But render sequence option box. Current camera, shot camera, look up here. Frame 1 to 178, we got 1 to 178, that's good. And the rest should be all right. This is so, like, I don't know, whenever I do a render, it's always a little, like, exciting, nervousness, all this stuff put together, because in the home stretch, I'm in the end game, as they say. It's just so much fun to see it all come together, and that it's rendering, like, this is going to be super polished. It's exactly what I was aiming for this whole time, and the fact that I'm so proud of it just being a play blast is friggin' awesome. I can only imagine what the render's going to look like, because I love my movements, I love my rig, I love my shader, and I think it's just going to be great. So, yeah. But I'm going to go and let this render. It's going to do its thing. And when I get home from work tomorrow, I should have a fully rendered image sequence of my T-Rex. And then I'll show you what we do with that to make it into an animation. So, I guess now it's just the waiting game. Oh, you guys are so lucky. You get to just see it. I gotta wait. Frick. Alrighty, so it is now later in the real world timeline, and all of the images have rendered. We have 178 of them. So, it's gonna look pretty friggin' awesome. Now, how do we put this together? Well, I'll go into After Effects. Okay, so now here I'll go New Composition. Make sure we are 24 frames a second. Okay, and we'll File, Import, File. Here are my images. Click the first one. Make sure sequence is checked. Open. Now you think that's it? No. It automatically puts it in 30 frames a second. So I'm just going to go here, right click, composition settings, change that to 24. Boom. And I'll go ahead and just change this to 24 as well. So right click, interpret footage, main, 24. So now all that's left to do is go into composition settings, just increase our time. I'll go 8 seconds. Move our timeline over and then fill the rest of this out, because that is the rest of our animation. And I'll grab this little blue bar and scooch it over. And now we are all set to render. So we're going to go File, Export, Export to Render Queue, Lossless. We're going to go Lossless, and then just OK. Click Output to. Let's put it on the desktop. We'll call it Roar. Save, render, and then it'll take a second to render. Okay, we'll find Roar here on the desktop, open it up. It's going to convert it. And now the finished product. Oh, that's so cool. I'm so happy with that. So yeah, there it is guys, my entire animation process from start to finish. So, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Is my process similar to yours? Is it very different? And any other comments you have to say. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one guys. So if you would please, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See you guys later.